Well, hello, and welcome to another episode? Not episode, but another session of live coaching with Leslie. I'm so excited that you're here. We do this every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and I'm glad that you're here with us. If you are on YouTube, if you're not on YouTube, but you want to hop on over to YouTube, I want to encourage you to hit the subscribe button and tap that bell notification icon so that you can be notified whenever we create more content, and we have some great stuff coming your way. Today, we're talking about something. We're talking about a topic that I don't know if you ever experience it, but we're talking about a topic that I experience from time to time. And that topic is fear. Okay, everybody's thinking, fear? No, I don't deal with that at all. And that's okay. If you don't deal with that, you can just listen to what the other regular people in the world deal with. But yes, we are going to be talking about fear in your online business. If you're joining live on YouTube or Facebook, let us know where you are tuning in from. I see we already have Ignacio in the house. We've got Katian in the house, and she said, that sounds like a steel pan. It sounds like a steel pan, Katian, because it is a steel pan. If you are on YouTube or you're on Facebook, you heard that music, and I hope you enjoyed that music, because I enjoy that music. So I play what I enjoy. So let us know in the chat where you are tuning in from. And also, let me know, because I want to know that if I'm alone, because I might be alone. Maybe I'm the only person that deals with fear in your online business. And we have Colin in the house. What's going on? And he says, fear in your online business. That's exactly what we're talking about today. Let's see. We've got Ignacio. He says, nice intro. Thank you very much. We've got, let's see. Katian says, I should know, right? We've got Marty in the house that is all the way in Hawaii. I am so glad to have you here from Hawaii. Aloha to you as well. And yes, let me know. Am I the only one? Because it's possible. Maybe it's possible that it's just me. And if it's just me, I guess I'll be talking to myself. But if anybody else experiences that kind of thing in their business, just let me know so that I know that I am not alone. Okay, so Ignacio says, you're absolutely not the only one. Thank you, Ignacio. I'm glad to know I'm not by myself. We've got Ray in the house, of course, from Connecticut representing. Ignacio is in New Jersey. New Jersey is in the house. All right, cool. So we are going to talk about fear. Marty says, okay, thank you guys. I just wanted to know that I'm not alone, and you are confirming that I am not alone. So at least 3 people here, at least 3 of us, or 4 of us in total now, experience some kind of fear when it comes to your online business. And maybe it's not just when it comes to your online business, but today specifically, we're going to talk about online business. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to rewind. We're going to go back in time. We're going to go back in time to 2014, because this is one of the first times that I can remember experiencing a significant amount of fear in my online business. It was 2014. My wife and I had made a decision that was the year I'm going to leave my job as a university professor to do this online stuff, this blogging stuff, this content marketing and all this good stuff, coaching and so on, full time. And I remember I was a university professor. I actually really enjoyed my job as a university professor. It was my dream job. And I had my dream job, and I was getting ready to leave that dream job. And we have Ignacio. He says, I'm struggling with it right now. Awesome. Thank you so much for that transparency. We've got Lou is in the house, and he says, I was afraid I'd miss tonight. That's his fear. I love that. I mean, well, yeah, I actually do love that. His fear that was that he was gonna miss tonight. But fortunately, that fear, I think we've dealt with that one. So yes, 2014, getting ready to leave my job and do this online business stuff. Now, for some background, my online business was not exactly at the point where a sane human being would necessarily say, I'm going to leave the job. I didn't have a business that was making a ton of money. I didn't have a bunch in savings or anything of that sort. My wife and I had our first son, and he was almost 2 years old. So there's the pressure of, I was the sole income earner, not the only worker in the house, because my wife works a whole lot. But I was the one that was responsible for our income. And now I'm leaving this job, a relatively secure job with really good benefits, to build my online business. And I remember one day in particular, I was walking away from my lab. I'd finished, we were dissecting and all this kind of stuff, and I was walking away from my lab, and I almost panicked right there in that moment, because it was an amazing lab. I felt like I was on top of the world, and I'm going to my car and I start to freak out. What in the world am I doing? Why would I consider leaving my job? This is a good job. I wanted this job. Now I have this job, and now I'm taking this big risk. And I started to freak out. It was almost like I was hyperventilating, because it was such quite frankly, it was risky. And I started to experience some significant fear. And I remember going home and I'm like, okay, I'm not able to concentrate. I'm not able to do the things that I gotta do. I need to process through this. And I actually did a few things to process it that made me calm down, and that made me feel better, and that gave me what I needed in order to move forward. And what I wanna do is I wanna walk you through the steps that I took, because they were so significant for me. All right, so we're gonna go through 10 things. All right, and we're not gonna spend a ton of time on this, but we're gonna go through 10 things really quick, and then we're gonna get into some coaching, and we're gonna coach whether it's on fear or whether it's on something else. By the way, if you are on YouTube or you're on Facebook and you want to get some coaching, or you want to ask some questions, come on camera and all that good stuff, you can do that. I left the link to Zoom right there in the chat. So you can go ahead and click there, come on over to Zoom, and we'll bring you in right after this first segment. So I want to walk you through what I did when I was freaking out. And when I finish this, I'm going to tell you about fears that I deal with even today. Because, Ignacio says, thank you for sharing that with us. The reality is, fear, well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. All right, let me not try to get ahead of myself. So what did I do? Here's what I did. First step. Step number 1. Just accept the fact that fear is a normal part of life. If you are a human being, you will most likely experience fear. And fear is not necessarily a bad thing. Fear is a normal part of life. Fear tells you when you're kind of getting outside your comfort zone. Fear tells you sometimes when there's danger ahead, right? If there's danger ahead, I want something to tell me, hey, you need to get away from this danger. If there's a lion coming towards me, I'm not going to be like, whatever, I don't experience fear. I'm going to just chill, see what happens. No, I want to get up and I want to go. Maybe it's just me. All right? Or since we're in Florida and there's bodies of water around, there's an alligator coming towards me. I want something to kick in and tell me to get out of the way. All right? But fear can also be an indicator that, hey, man, you're stepping outside your comfort zone. And oftentimes, the amazing stuff happens on the other side of your comfort zone. So, number 1, accept it. Fear is normal. I've met one person that told me he doesn't get afraid. And I actually kind of believe him. It was kind of weird. He's a special guy. But anyhow, fear is a normal part of life. Accept it. We all experience it. Just really quick. Someone on here, please tell me that you don't experience fear. Like that's not a part of your life. Anyone? Anyone? No?
No.
No? Okay. All right. Nobody seems to be raising their hands and saying, I don't experience. So we're all human. Okay, good, good. All right, we've established that. We're all human, so we all experience fear. Accept it. Number two, I want you to answer the following question. Whatever it is you're afraid of, in my case, it was leaving the job or launching a product or whatever the case might be, or the failure that can come along with doing something that is a little outside of your comfort zone. I want you to ask the question, what's the worst that could happen? That's the first question I want you to ask and answer for yourself. What is the worst that can happen? And I literally want you to write it down. Like, what are the options? So for me, in that example, leaving my job, what's the worst that could happen? My business could fail. I'm not making enough money to make rent. I'm not making enough money to take care of my family. That's the reality, right? That could happen. I could, because I'm not making enough money, maybe we could be homeless. I mean, I literally made a list of all the things. What's the worst that could happen? And I made that list. And I was very realistic in making that list. Then step number 3. Remember, we're going through 10 steps. Step number 3 is answering the following question. If the worst thing were to happen, what could you do to fix the situation? And I want you to write it down. I want you to make a list. What could you do to fix that situation? In my case, okay, I left my job doing the business. Business isn't going well, not making as much money as I need to make. Don't have money to feed my family. It's terrible, right? What could I do to fix the situation? I could get another job. I could actually get a job as a teacher again because, I had the skills to be a teacher. I could go and work at McDonald's if I needed to. Like if things really got to the point where I just needed a job, there were things that I could do. And I literally I was realistic with myself and I wrote those things down. Well, I typed them out on my laptop. So that was the third thing that I did. Then, this is the part that I really like. I want you to ask another question. What is the best that could happen? And I want you to write down the answers to that question. What is the best that can happen? And for me, I started thinking about the best things that could happen. I started thinking about my business thriving. I started thinking about me being able to speak on stages and inspire people. I started thinking about, well, quite frankly, things like this, me being able to go live and impact people's lives and all of that stuff. I started thinking about the fact that, before I was working at that job and I was working like crazy. I hardly had any time for my family. And I started picturing a scenario where I'm able to build my business and spend a lot of time with my family. And all these different things I started picturing. And I started writing it down. These are some of the best things that could happen. I could be traveling the world and speaking to people about topics that I'm passionate about. I could be changing lives all over the world. And I started writing these things down. And as I started writing these things down, I actually started getting excited. So that was what step? Step number 1, 2, 3, 4. What's the best that can happen? Number 5. I want you to compare the worst that could happen to the best that can happen. Do the pros outweigh the cons? In my situation, with what I described to you a little while ago, did the pros outweigh the cons? Absolutely. To be able to have that kind of impact, to be able to spend much more time with my family, to be able to travel the world and have an impact on people's lives, to be able to work with people and coach people and see them grow their businesses and all that good stuff, to be able to have that kind of impact, did that outweigh the possibility of me not making enough money in my business? Absolutely. So you see what I'm doing? I'm kind of walking myself through this logically. And maybe it's because I'm a very logical person. I really like to approach things from a position of from a perspective of logic. And I just logically walked myself through this situation where I realized that, yeah, there are some potential cons, but even in that situation, in those situations, there were things I could do to fix it. And then when I look at the potential pros, there were so many, and they so far outweigh the cons that it made it seem so worth it to me. All right, so now that we know the pros outweigh the cons, we go to the next step. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step number 6. Create an actionable plan. We know that the pros outweigh the cons by far. We know that if the cons were to happen, there are things we could do. So now we're focusing on the pros. In order to get to that point, what do I have to do? What courses do I need to take? Who do I need to reach out to? What steps do I need to take in order to make it a reality? Create an actionable plan. And if you don't have a plan, go to somebody that does know how to do the thing that you want to do and get a plan from them. Now you have an actionable plan. That's the next step. Let's move on to step number 7. You ready for step number 7? Because now we have an actionable plan. Step number 7 is take the first step. Like right now. Once you go through that process, you take the first step. You want to know what the next step is? Step number 8. Take the next step. I'm trying to keep it simple. And to me, it makes sense. Once you take the first step from the actionable plan that you came up with, you take the next step. And you just continue taking those steps. Step number 9. Surround yourself with great people. And when you surround yourself with great people, talk to them about what you're doing. Because what's going to happen is you're going to inspire them. They're going to inspire you. You guys are going to encourage each other. You come on these kinds of calls. You get into groups where there are people that are doing awesome things. You interact with people that are doing interesting things. That's the kind of things that you want to do, and you surround yourself in that group. I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but when you're trying to do something significant, oftentimes it seems very easy for you to get people around you that are going to try to discourage you. And when they discourage you, they say, like, wait, you're going to leave your job to work on the internet? Like, are you sure? And then they're going to start saying all kinds of negative things. By the way, this live is not about me trying to convince you to leave your job or do anything like that. That's not the point. The point is the process for dealing with the fears that we deal with. How do we handle it? This is what I do. So surround yourself with great people and talk to them. And step number 10. This is step number 10, but it actually is step number 1 all the way through 10. That doesn't make any sense. But this is step number 10. Have some faith. Like, there's so many naysayers, and there's so many things that we like to tell ourselves, saying, oh man, I don't know if this is going to work and all. But have some faith. Like, you are passionate about something in particular that you want to put out in the world, that you want to create. There's a reason that's inside of you. There's a reason that's inside of you. So have some faith that it's actually going to work out. And you have the plan. So work it. Let's recap. Number 1, accept fear is a normal part of life. We all experience it. I was trying to find someone on here that doesn't experience the fear, but that person doesn't seem to want to raise their hands or anything of that sort because that person doesn't exist. All right? Number 1, accept it. Number 2, what's the worst that can happen? I want you to write it down. Number 3, what could you do to fix that situation if the worst were to happen? Just logically think through it. Number 4, what's the best that could happen? Number 5, do the pros outweigh the cons? And I hope the answer is yes. If they don't, then you got to reevaluate. Is this something that you want to be doing? If the cons really outweigh the pros, well, you better find something else to be fearful about. And don't worry about that one. Just walk away from that one. But if the pros outweigh the cons, then we go on to the next step. Create an actionable plan. And once we have that plan, we take the first step. Once we take that first step, we take the second step. We surround ourselves with great people, number 9, and we talk to them about what we're dealing with. One of the things that I've had to do, I'm a part of a mastermind. I'm a part of 2 mastermind groups right now. And we get together on a weekly basis. And just by surrounding myself with these people, it helps to encourage me. And we help to encourage each other. Put yourself in those kinds of environments. And number 10, have some faith. Amen. Ignacio said it's too late. He just emailed his manager the 2 weeks notice. I hope that's not because of this live. Oh, man. Marty says, this is the step I always get stuck on. I'm not sure which step you were talking about, but I'm assuming that it has to do with the actionable plan, right? And if that is the case, right, here's the beauty of that. When I started my business in 2008, taking the first step. Got it. But when I started my business in 2008, I had a plan. That plan is completely different than my plan today. But here's the thing, taking that first step and then the next step and then the next step, that gets you going. And once you have momentum, it's much easier. If an object is moving, it has momentum. And once it has that momentum, it's easier to get it to change direction. But if it's still stationary, it's harder to get it to actually change direction. But once it's moving, you can kind of push it much easier in the right direction. So it's going to always evolve. And if your problem is taking that first step, that's really an issue of motivation. So I would ask myself, who are you surrounding yourself with? Are those people feeding into you, or are they draining you? And if they're draining you, well, quite frankly, depending on the situation, of course, you're not like trying to get rid of your family or anything of that sort. But depending on the situation, you might want to find some new people to surround yourself by. Because you know what? You know what I've started to realize? The more you surround yourself with people that are doing amazing things, the more you get motivated to do amazing things. So if you find yourself always lacking motivation, I want to ask you, what are you surrounding yourself with? What are you feeding into your mind? What podcasts are you listening to? What books are you reading? What courses are you taking? Those are some important things, because what I've realized is that I could change my motivation by feeding myself on positive things, by feeding myself on motivational information. And the more I consume that content, the more I'm able to see that fear and say, you know what, I'm going to do it still. And today, I find myself, if I'm not fearful, if I don't experience any fear, I question whether I'm doing anything that's worth it. When I'm starting to feel, oh man, I don't know if I should do that. That's looking kind of crazy. That tells me that I am trying to do certain things that are outside of my comfort zone. And I know that amazing things happen on the other side of your comfort zone. So if you are experiencing that fear, just like Ignacio is saying here, you are not alone, whether it's Marty or Ignacio or Leslie or Bismana, whether it's Ray, whether it's Colin, whether it's whoever, you are not alone. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to switch things up a little bit. We're going to go ahead and transition to the coaching part. I hope that resonated with you. And I hope you got some value from that. Because I know for a fact that this is something that holds the majority of people back. We're afraid. We're afraid to do something amazing. And because we're afraid to do something amazing, we just don't do anything. And that is not what I want for you. I want you to do the things that make you nervous. I want you to do the things that are going to result in you accomplishing the things that you are trying to accomplish in life. That to me is where it gets awesome. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and transition to the coaching part. If you have a question, if you're on Zoom, first of all, if you're on Facebook or YouTube and you want to come on live to ask your question, the Zoom link should be right at the top. One of the first comment that was left on the video, you can come on over here. If you don't want to do that and you're on YouTube or Facebook, go ahead and type your question in the comments, and I will take your question on here live. If you're on Zoom, go ahead and let me know that you have a question. Just put the topic of the question, and I'm happy to bring you on to ask that question. And Marty is saying, great, Leslie, I need to get back to the plan and finding time to keep joining in with you. Thank you. Thank you, Ignacio. Yes, indeed. You need to get back to the plan. Like, and here's the thing, right? Let's say you haven't been working on that plan for a while. Well, now you have a prompt. You have a reminder. Yes, I need to get back to that plan. So do it. Make it happen. That's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to encourage you. I'm doing this to remind you that there was a plan. And if there was a plan, get back to it. Because what I know for a fact is this. What I know for a fact is this. If you don't take action, you're not going to accomplish what you want to accomplish. If you don't take action, you're not going to accomplish what you want to accomplish. So let's do it. All right? Make sense? All right, let's see if we have any questions. If you have a question on Zoom, let me know in the chat. Or let me know by raising your hand. That might be even faster. And if you don't, that's fine as well. And if you have a question, we have a lot of people on we have people on YouTube thanking each other and encouraging each other, and that is awesome. And I'm so glad to see that, and I hope to continue seeing that. All right, any questions on Zoom?
I have.
You do? All right, let me pop you on the screen. And go ahead.
Yes. Well, the project that I'm doing right now, I have just started designing my logo. Yeah, this is what I want to hear, feedback from you, if it is possible. I don't know how to share it on the.
Are you saying you want to have some feedback on how your logo looks?
Logo.
Oh yeah, go ahead and share it. You can share. You can either share your screen, or you can give me the link and I could share it. However you want to do that, that'll work for me.
All right. Okay, let me see if I can get it here. Okay. But it may take some time.
Do you see the share screen feature?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Oh, you're trying to load the file.
I don't know which one. Can I drag and drop?
I don't think you can drag and drop, but what you can do, you can either go to the share screen option and then share your screen that way, or you can attach if it's a big file. If it's not a big file, you can just you can add the file directly in the chat. You might be able to drag and drop. I've never tried it.
Okay, all right. Let me try to share.
Okay. That would probably be the easiest one. Yeah. And so let's see. Here's what we're going to do. You go ahead and try to find that. And once you've gotten that done, we'll take your question. I'm going to go to a question on YouTube. And then we can do it that way. Wait. It looks like he's sharing a screen. All right. I'm seeing a Microsoft Word document from what you're sharing. So go ahead and try to find that. And we're going to go to the question that is on the screen right now. So Marty is asking, Is the material in your coaching club still relevant today compared to back in 2017? Actually, Marty, the coaching club doesn't exist anymore. I closed that down a few months ago because I've switched to focusing on one-on-one coaching. So if you were a member of the coaching club back then, you can still have access to the information, but there's no new information that is being added. So is it still relevant? Yeah, it's still relevant. Absolutely. Because a lot of the stuff that is there is stuff that I posted. Well, yeah, a lot of the stuff that's in there is stuff that I posted recently. So you can go and check that. Marty says, I thought I could still have access to the information. Yeah, as long as you are a member, you still have access to that information. So you can check that out. Lewis saying, live Zoom tech support, hashtag best stream ever. Well, you know, we do what we got to do. And if we're going to do some tech support, we're going to do some tech support. Were you able to find it, Besmana?
Yes.
Okay, you can go ahead and share the screen then.
Yeah.
All right, I could see that it's loading up. All right, so what feedback specifically are you looking for?
Yeah, I just want if someone just saw it at the first time, if he could find out what the logo means with before I can explain, because it is about building social cohesion. Yeah, like leaving the legacy behind. And you know, the last time I talked about, I am very concerned, or I'm very interested in helping like fathers and families how to deal with their kids. So this is kind of it. So I'm trying to find out the right logo that I can use on my social media, for example.
Got it. So I'm looking at this right now, and I see building social cohesion, Iragi. I see intergenerational legacy. Is the name of the business Iragi? Is that?
Yes. This is the name.
Okay. And then, so I'm seeing here that there's a family, and then I'm seeing this picture here. I'm not sure what that is represent. It looks like someone with a gun. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is the teacher, but I don't think it is clear. A teacher that comes after family.
Yeah, that looks like a military person to me.
Really?
Yeah, because the thing that he has in his hand, it actually looks like it looks like a gun to me.
So yeah, actually it is. Yeah, he's pointing to the whiteboard using like stick.
Oh yeah, I don't see that at all.
Yeah, she has a book, like a teacher. That's the teacher trying to explain something on the board.
Yeah, so now that you're explaining that, I can kind of see that, but I don't get that from there. I don't get the concept of building social cohesion from this logo. I'll tell you my philosophy when it comes to logos. I like to keep things simple. And there's a whole lot in this logo going on that makes it a little too busy for my preference. And the way I like to do it is I like to think about how would it look like when it's very small. So right now it's big and taking up the entire screen. But if it's like this big, I can't even tell what's inside of it. So I think you're trying to do a little too much in the logo. That is my personal take when it comes to logos. When I'm getting a logo designed, I like to focus on simplicity. I have the name, maybe one little visual image, and maybe a short tagline. But in many cases, I would even go without the tagline. I would like just that single visual image to give the concept, and it doesn't have to tell the entire story. So I wouldn't try to fit as much into a logo.
All right. So I should remove like the picture, the name. Which one should I remove? I'm not sure.
So is this something that you are designing yourself?
Yes.
Are you a designer?
Yeah, I try my best.
What do you mean by you try your like? Did you is designing something that you studied or like you do for?
Yes, I studied it. Yes, I studied, and I've been doing this for a little bit for quite some times.
Yeah.
Not as a professional, but as hobby.
Yeah. So the thing is, right, when it comes to design and logos and so on, different people are going to have different preferences. My preference is going to be different from your preference. And that's not necessarily saying your preference is bad. If it were me, it would just be Iragi and then a symbol. And that's it. A symbol maybe next to the eye. And that's pretty much it. Design for me is a very tricky thing, especially when it comes to logo design. I wouldn't even try to design my own stuff, even though I can do some design stuff. I would prefer to get someone that's a pro at logo stuff, and you can get a professional logo designed for like $20, $30. There's a company, for example, called The Logo Nerds. If you go to thelogonerds.net, I think it is, that's where they can design a professional logo for you for $29. And this is all they do, or this is a big part of what they do, and you can get something that's pretty cost effective. But for me, like if you ask me what to change about this logo, I can't tell you what to change about this logo because this logo is completely different from anything that I would create or I would want created.
All right. Okay. I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Awesome.
All
Sweet.
right, thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for sharing and for asking.
All right. You're welcome.
All right. So let's see. We have a question from Marty. He's asking, is using something like email marketing a better way to drive traffic to your blog or to keep customers, or is it better to use something like YouTube? So that's a very interesting question, Marty, because the answer to that question is it depends. It depends on what we're talking about. Email marketing, I think regardless of what you're doing, if you're building an online business, email marketing should be a core part of what you're doing. And here's why. Your email list is something that you own. Your email list is direct access to the people that are saying, I want you to send me content. Whereas posting on Facebook and posting on YouTube, you're posting on someone else's platform and you're hoping that they give you the exposure. Now, I think YouTube is a great platform and I absolutely love YouTube, but I don't see it as an either or. I don't see it as, should I do YouTube or should I do email marketing? I see it as, if you're doing an online business, you better be doing email marketing. Because for pretty much almost all of the people that I know that are making a significant income online, are the bulk of their revenue is coming from their email list. So it's so important that I think anyone that's building an online business should have an email list and should do email marketing. So is it better to drive traffic than YouTube? Your email list doesn't drive traffic. Well, it does, but it's traffic that if your email list gets big enough, you can send an email to them and say, hey, can you come and check out my post or check out this product that I have for sale or something of that sort. But in terms of traffic that's coming from outside in, that is going to be stuff like YouTube. It's going to be stuff like search engine optimization. It's going to be stuff like posting on social media. It's going to be the stuff that you do on other sites to bring people in. So to answer your question, they have different purposes. And if you're into YouTube, you better still be into email marketing because I've seen it too many times where someone builds a business on a platform that they don't own, they don't control, and then that platform makes a change, an algorithm change, an update, or something along those lines, and now their business is gone. And that's not the position that you want to find yourself in. So which is better? They're both valuable, but they have different purposes. Hope that helps. Let's see. Ignacio has a question. Leslie, did you have any clients before you made the decision to leave your dream job? You know, I'm glad you asked that question because I need to clarify something. What I said was, what I said was my business wasn't, making a bunch of money or anything of that sort. However, my business was making money and I had a proven model. What I mean is, I had a business that actually some months I made more in my business than I made on my job. And then other months, I made hardly anything in my business. And the reason for that was I didn't have as much time to invest in my business because of how hard I was working on my job. So I knew that if I were to leave my job and go all in on my business, I could make significantly more because I had already proven the model. Now, what would have been absolutely ridiculous of me is I want to start a business, so I'm going to leave my secure job that I love, my dream job, to go and start this online business that was not proven. That is completely different. That's a completely different level of risk. And I would have been afraid of that, and that would have been a good fear. Because in that situation, it would not have been wise for me to leave my job to go and pursue that. But my business was already making money. I knew what I needed to do. I just needed more time to invest in my business. And that turned out to be right because within 4 months of leaving my job, my income in my business had matched what I was doing on my job. So I had already proven the model. I had already known what to do. I had been doing it since 2008. In 2008, I started my business. And in 2014, I left my business. That's 6 years of working hard on my business. That's 6 years of some months making $1,000, some months making $5,000, some months making $3,000, and everything in between. So, did I have clients? I didn't have coaching clients at that time. But when I left my business, I started taking on coaching clients, and I knew that I could get coaching clients because of the business that I had built. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, I see we have a question from Allison about developing a course. I have a popular download. Allison, you want to go ahead and unmute yourself? I don't know if you want to come on camera or not, but you can go ahead and ask your question.
All right, I'm happy to come on camera. I've got high-speed internet now.
Well,
so.
There you go. Let's do it.
All right. Hi, Leslie.
Hello.
So my question is about creating a course.
Okay.
And on my website, I have several different downloads available, like free downloads. And the most popular one right now is I have a baking website. And so my most popular one is one that's a workbook for bakers to start their home-based baking business. And that's about 80% of my downloads is that one.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking about trying to write a course around that download, because it seems like there's a lot of people that want that information.
Okay, so what is your question?
So I guess my question is kind of two-part. Number one is I'm not sure, once I write this course, how much to charge for it. And then the second part of my question is, how do you make sure that you put enough value in the course for the price that you put on it?
Great. Okay, so those are two good questions. The first one is one that comes up often, especially when you're first making a course. How much should I charge for it? This is what I usually tell people. Do you know of any other courses like that?
There are some that are slightly similar. There's a lot of courses about just the logistical things, like a checklist type of things. Do these things in order to be legal to do this type of work at home.
Yes.
My emphasis, since I have this bakery ownership background, is that I really want to emphasize more about what it means to be an entrepreneur and how to plan for the success of your business before you even start your business. So I think I have a very unique perspective.
Yep.
So in that sense, I don't think there's anybody who's doing what I'm planning on doing.
Okay. So there's nobody doing exactly what you're planning on doing, which is
No,
great. That is
that I
awesome.
know of.
Yeah, that's great. Because that gives you a bit of a unique value proposition. You can more easily answer the question, well, why should I buy your course? Well, you can say, well, because there are a bunch of, exactly what you said just now. There are a bunch of courses that give you some checklists and the logistical stuff. But I actually go into what it takes to be an entrepreneur and how to do that in this space. That right there, being able to say that is absolutely awesome. So generally speaking, when it comes to pricing, this is what I tell people to do. Look at what's out there in the industry. And it might not be exactly your course, but there are going to be things that are somewhat similar in the same space, targeting the same audience. And try to get a feel for the range of pricing. You might see some going for $9.95, and you might see some going for $99 or $999. You get a feel for what the range is. And then you just ask yourself, in this range, from 9 to 99, where am I comfortable? Am I comfortable somewhere closer to the 99 because I want it to be on the higher end? Or do I feel like, well, the $99, what I'm offering is so much more valuable than that, I'm going to go a little beyond that. And that's where I'm comfortable with. So figure out where you're comfortable in that price range.
Okay.
And then go a little more in that direction.
I like that.
Because here's what I've noticed, and this is in doing this with a lot of people over the years, myself included, we tend to undervalue what we have. And we tend to look at everybody else and say, oh yeah, but look how awesome what they're doing is, and so on. So I know that we have this inherent bias. So this is the range. I feel comfortable over here. I'm going over here.
Okay.
All right. That's how I recommend pricing it out. But it starts with doing the competitive analysis, like looking out there and seeing what your competitors are pricing theirs at. And then based on that and understanding the differences between your course and their course, then you choose something that's slightly more uncomfortable with what you are comfortable with. Then from there, this is where it gets more interesting. Let's say you decide to go with $97 and you do it for a while. It's selling well, great. Then you increase your price. You increase your price to $127. And you see how things are going. Okay, it was at $97, I was getting 10 sales a month. It's at $127, and I'm still getting 10 sales a month. That tells me I can go up some more.
Okay. Okay.
You know how much you want to charge for your course? As much as people are willing to pay for it. So over time, you're going to continue to increase that price until you reach a point of diminishing returns. Because maybe at $97, you're selling 10 a month. But at $197, you're selling 6 a month. Well, if you're selling 6 a month at $197, you're actually doing better than you were doing when you were selling 10 a month at $97. But they'll reach a point where you reach to a certain point that the amount that you make is actually starting to go down. That tells you you're a little too high.
Okay.
So you start where you're uncomfortable based on the range, and then over time, you continue to increase that price until you reach a point of diminishing return. When you reach that point of diminishing return, let's come back down a little bit, and that's where you stick.
That sounds great. Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, go ahead.
So in terms of making sure that I have the value there for them, I know I want to try to get as many testimonials as I can of people saying how I helped them. How do you know if you're not getting the value? Like, is it just you're not getting the testimonials? I just want to make sure that I'm really helping people.
All right. So this is a great question. You know how you know? Let me put it this way. When I left my job, I had to go into hustle mode because I needed. Evidently, we had our son. Evidently, he wanted food and clothes and all those things and so on. For some reason he wanted all of that. My wife likes to have a place to live and all that kind of stuff. So I had to make sure that I got into hustle mode and make some money to pay the bills so that we could live. All right. So what I did was I launched my. Someone asked about this earlier. My coaching club, which was a membership, and the membership, it was at the time $27 a month. And you get in there, you get all of my courses on blogging, you get access to live coaching and all this kind of stuff and so on. So I sold it. And when I sold it, there was nothing in there. Now, everyone knew that there was nothing in there because the intention was, I'm going to build this with you. I'm going to start creating these courses. We're going to do some live workshops. You're going to get access to the information. I'm going to be getting your feedback. And as I get your feedback, I'm going to see, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I should add some more of this because these are the questions that I'm getting. So I started making courses on the things that I was getting questions about. And it kind of evolved over time to where I knew now that there was a certain point where I was like, okay, I'm done making courses because I've covered all of the stuff that people wanted to hear. My point behind all of that is regardless of how much you put into it, you should look at it as from a point of what you put into it in the beginning is just the beginning. And then you're going to get feedback. And maybe you build that expectation into it. Hey, I'm launching this course. You guys are the beta group. Come in. You put in what you think reasonably needs to be in there. Maybe you charge a little less in the beginning just to get people in to test it out. And then you ask them, can I have your feedback? What is missing? What do you want more of? And as they tell you, I want more of this, okay, so you create some of those videos or some of that content. We need handouts because the handouts help us to, calculate all of the things that we need to calculate better. Okay, so then you put together some handouts and you're basically co-creating it with them. You asked me the question, how do you know that you're putting enough value in there? Based on the feedback you get. Based on the suggestions you get. You ask them questions. When they see that you're there and you're actually addressing their concerns, guess what's going to happen with those testimonials? They're going to be great because they're getting exactly what they need. The mistake that so many of us make, especially when you're an expert in your field, right? And because you're an expert in your field, you might think, well, I know everything I need to teach to these people because I know what I'm doing. But the reality is sometimes when you're an expert, you start to miss some of the things that regular people it's completely new to them. You just say, the other day I was on a call and I told someone, you need to do some SEO. And I continued talking and they were like, wait. What's this SEO thing that you're talking about? I'm like, oh, yes, okay. And then I had to break down what SEO is. So as an expert, sometimes we get blinded to, what regular people want to learn about. So doing it that way, that helps you to ensure that you're putting the value in there that needs to be in there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you so much.
You are very much welcome. Yeah, that was a great question. I love it.
Great.
Awesome. Let me see if there are any more questions. Marty says, this was to his question before. That helps a lot. I was wondering if email marketing was still needed. It is good to know that I need both. Thanks, Leslie. You are very much welcome. Ignacio says, oh, I understand. It wasn't like you were starting from scratch. Thanks. Exactly. It wasn't like I was starting from scratch. If I was starting from scratch, I would not have left my job. That just wouldn't make any sense. Now, there are some people that do it that way. And I'm not saying if you leave your job to start a business from scratch, you're making the wrong decision. But for me and where I was in life, that was not the right decision for me. All right, I don't see any more questions on socials. I don't see any questions on Zoom. If you do have a question and you're on Zoom or you're on social, go ahead and let me know so that I can bring you on. If not, we're going to start to wrap things up in a little bit. Ray, it looks like you're typing something. Does that mean you have a question? Yeah? Just go ahead and unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Excuse me. Hi, Leslie. Thank you for all you do. I have a more of a statement about pricing and what Allison was talking about.
Yeah, go ahead.
And what it was is I'm in the air conditioning industry. Long story short, I worked for a company that was all about price. They were sales. They paid us based on sales. And I've always been really strong as a technician, so I could determine the problem. But the problem for me was that other people were making way more money than me. And what they would do is they'd show up and say, well, Allison, this is this, that's that, that's the other. The unit's 30 years old, and we can change it right now for $3,600. And so I had to learn sales. And so what I found was when I made the customer comfortable in that I knew what I was talking about, and the last person that was a salesperson did not, I got the sale. So back to price, you have to get rid of the doubt, because these guys were charging prices that I couldn't even come out of my mouth. But I'd say, this is the price, this is what it costs, that's the way it is. And I get the job. I have very few people that said no, as well as very few callbacks, because I tell them, this is how I'm going to do the job. Another quick story, I did a job, and the guy said afterwards to me, after I got done, he pulled out his contractor's license and said, I'm a contractor, I could have did it myself, but I believed in you that when you said you were going to do a good job, and you did a good job. So that's just kind of what I was trying to lead to, is that in her case, the confidence and just do a good job. And you'll get the testimonials, you'll get all the rest that comes with it, and you just keep moving. Forget about being cheap. And Seth Godin put it best, and said the problem with racing to the bottom is you might win. You don't want to be a vice leader. You just don't. And so that's my comment. Thank you.
Yeah, so what's significant about that to me, like I was saying before, right? Oftentimes we undervalue what we have to offer. And I think that's along the lines of what you're talking about. There comes a point where you just got to say, no, wait, you know what? I know my stuff, and I'm going to do it. I am going to sit down and I'm going to think through, hey, these people want to start selling baked goods from their homes, or whatever the case might be. I know how to do this. What do they need to learn? And then you start outlining it, and you say, these are the topics that I know that I need to cover. And you go and you create the content to cover those topics. Great, you have that. That is a great place to start. And you choose a price. You determine that. You do your research and all that good stuff. You choose that. You put it out there, and then you get feedback. That, to me, is the process. You choose the price based on what you know the value is that you have, and then you go from there. So thank you so much for sharing. Let's see, we have some more questions on YouTube. Oh, sweet. Mizia, she says, evening blessings to you from St. Martin. Oh, St. Martin is in the house. I always get excited when St. Martin is in the house. You see the blue and the red? That's the St. Martin flag right there. I'm excited. Okay, sorry. I got distracted because she's from St. Martin. Come on, I gotta. What can I do? I mean, it's the best island in the Caribbean. You see what you did to me, man? Okay, so the question is, sorry, I get carried away anytime I hear St. Martin. Do you have any suggestions on platforms for online live conferences? Yes, I do have a suggestion because I love the platform, and that's Zoom. That's pretty much it. The reason why I like Zoom, and Zoom has different types of accounts, and the one that I'm specifically referring to is where you can do webinars. You pay a little more, but you can do webinars. You can have breakout rooms. You can do all of those things. Not just that, since the pandemic. Everybody's on Zoom, so they're familiar with the system. They know how it works. My dad in St. Martin is talking to me about his Zoom calls and getting his webcam set up so that he can look more professional on Zoom. Everybody and their mama, they're on Zoom right now. So it's a very familiar platform, and it has a lot of the features that you'd need to do an online live conference. So that would be my platform of choice for doing a live conference. And I hope that helps. All right, any more questions? Bismana, you look like you have a question. You unmuted yourself. Do you have a question?
No, thank you. Maybe next time.
Oh, okay, cool.
You've answered my question.
Okay, awesome. Just making sure. I want to make sure everybody that has a question gets it answered.
All right. Okay.
All right. Well, that is it for this evening. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. If you're on YouTube, once again, this is just your weekly reminder to not forget to hit subscribe and tap that bell icon so that you can be notified when new stuff is coming out. I keep telling you guys there's a course that's coming out. The videos are edited. We're working on the materials that go along with it, the handouts and so on. And it will be going live on not this Monday, but the next Monday. That is the current plan. And I'm excited to get that out for you guys. It's on how to track the return on investment of your social media marketing efforts. And you're going to love it. It's an awesome course. And it's going to be the price. We were talking about pricing. Now, what I did was I decided to go the completely opposite direction from what I recommended to Allison. The price is going to be a whopping $0 and 0 cents. So you'll be able to get access to that for free on YouTube. Just as a reminder, we do this every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So if it's not on your calendar, add it to your calendar so that you can remember, because you don't want to miss it. We do some great stuff here. Next week, we're going to do it again. Do I have the topic here? Let me tell you what we're going to be talking about, because I went through and planned the topics for the entire rest of the year. So I can tell you exactly what it's going to be as soon as it loads here. Let me go to my editorial calendar. And next week, we're going to be talking about personal branding. We're going to talk about 7 personal branding tips to accelerate your business growth. And I'm excited about that topic. But anyhow, thank you so much for joining me today. You all have an amazing rest of the evening, and I'll see you next week. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.